My hair used to be that colour as well. This is 3 teenage children, a small pandemic, and a very cheap midlife crisis. So here's my story. I'll try and do it as fast as possible. I'm going to take you back to a date that'll be engraved on my brain forever, March the 20th, 2020, when Peru went into one of the strictest and one of the longest and one of the most brutal lockdowns. Peru, the tourism in Peru is the fourth biggest part of the economy, and it basically just closed down. Thousands of people lost their jobs. It was just the start of the season. This is Cusco Plaza. I'm sure a lot of you have been there, and yeah, literally one person walking around. We had 2 groups in town. We took them to the airport, put them on planes, said goodbye. If you want to hear some pretty gruesome statistics, in 2020, we ran 2% of our 2019 trips. And 2021 wasn't much better. We managed 10% of our 21. And so, I mean, how do you run a company like that? How do you get up in the morning and try and get excited and stuff? And I was basically, my house is next door to the office, and so I was the only one who could get into the office. And I'm sitting in this office full of like empty computer screens and just sitting there. And then the phone rang, which was quite exciting because nothing was happening. And I don't want to sound like the pretentious git that I'm going to sound like now. I didn't actually know where the phone was because I don't normally answer the phone. And so I was running around the office trying to find the phone. And I don't know who was more surprised. It was this guy here. This is Maximiliano. He's a muleteer from a little village called Kunkani, and it's in the Lares Valley. It's in the middle of nowhere. And for this day, I will remember the words, and they stuck in my head forever. And he said, "Jefe, ¿dónde están los turistas?" And then he added, "¿Y cuándo volverán?" Do I need to translate that for the Brazilians, or is that fine? Okay. I can't remember my reply, but it was pathetic. But it was like getting a kick in the teeth. It was like, wow, I'd forgotten all the people. I was so stuck up. My family was scattered all over the world. My staff was scattered all over Cusco. And I was like, we need to do something about this. Amazon's Explorer, my company, we're a B Corp. If you don't know what a B Corp is, Google it. In South America, it's called the Sistema Bay. I think there's a few people here who are B Corps. Give it up. Glove, there's 1, 2. Good guys. It's a way of running your company where you put people and planet before profit. And so I sat in my desk and I thought, what would a B Corp do? And I was like, we need to do something about this. We need to help these people. And I phoned Maria Pilar, who's my head of operations, and I said, you remember those food parcels? Every year at the end of the season, we have a Christmas gathering, and we get our porters and we get our cooks and our muleteers together. I said, can we try and do something like that? We get food parcels and we send them out, and it's to help them last until the end of until the season starts again. And I'm like, I want you to identify the food that they can't get from these communities, so they don't have to come into town. Because can you imagine what's going to happen? Someone's going to come in from Kunkani, they're going to get COVID, they're going to walk back, and they're going to wipe out a community. And I'm like, we can't let this happen. And so we sat down and we wrote a list, and very soon, within about a couple of weeks, we'd got all the permits and just to get our cars going, and we had all these tests up our noses and stuff. And we started doing food parcels, and we identified 52 families that we worked with that were literally sitting there waiting for tourism to come back. They were "Donde están los turistas?" And so for once a month, we basically got in our little truck and drove around, and we went to all these lovely villages, and we were like, "Here's some food. Stay safe. Stay in your villages. Tourists are coming back. We don't know when." And that went right on till December 2020 when. December 2020, basically, I completely ran out of money, and I ran out of people I ask for money. And I was like, what am I going to do? Because there's no way this isn't over yet. And step forward, the LATA Foundation. There's quite a few people who are part of LATA, Latin American Travel Association. They have this amazing foundation. We did this little brainstorming, and it was really simple. We said we're going to come up with a thing called 25 for 25. The Inca Trail's 25 miles long. The price of a food parcel was roughly 25 UK pounds. So we challenged the British public to run, cycle, jog, dance, mountain bike 25 miles and raise 25 quid. And you can see it went ballistic, and we got 110%. And suddenly we were like, I was phoning up Maria going, it's back on. Thank you. And I said, we've got enough money now, and we can expand it. So I said, like, identify the most important families. And we expanded the program to 92 families. And we kept going, month in, month out. And we kept going until March 2022, March this year. And then we completely ran out of money. And on April the 1st, because I knew where the phone was, I picked it up. And I phoned all 92 families and said, we're going back to work. Get your boots on, get your donkeys out the fields. And if you want a cool statistic, we are 857% up on 2021 bookings. So, yeah, thank you very much, LATA Foundation. What about the guides? All the guides in Peru are freelance, so they work for various companies. So they were in this sort of... I don't know how many people work here with guides, but however much you pay a guide, they always get to the beginning of the season with no money. I don't know how they do it. So they'd hit the beginning of the season, they had no money, and let's go back to about September 2020, and we got on this Skype conference or Zoom or something, and they were like, what about us, Hefe? And I went, do you want food parcels? And they were like... So we sat down and I said, what we've got to think about with you guys is we don't know when this pandemic is going to be over. We don't know whether tourism's ever going to come back. It was the dark days of September 2020. Let's come up with little micro plans so that you can have businesses apart from tourism that you can put food on the table for your families. Come up with some ideas. We'll crowdfund them. We'll hit social media. We'll just get it. And within about 2 or 3 weeks, we'd have managed to raise another £15,000. And Omar, one of the best guides in the Colca, was getting into his baking, so we bought him an oven and got him going. So we had a baking thing. Ruben, one of the best Inca Trail guides, we got him a market stall, helped him fill him up. Santiago, one of the world's best raft guides, set up a gas production. Jose was doing a chicken farm. Juan Carlos, bicycle mechanic, and his wife set up a guinea pig and chicken delivery service. Check out this guy here, and you may have heard of him. It's a guy. He's called Ephraim Valles. You may know the UK magazine Wanderlust. In 2016, he was voted world's best guide, and he's here dressed up in a Superman costume, selling avocados to make a living. I mean, these guys are adaptable. And in about 2020, the office phoned me up and said, we're digging up your lawn. This is the Cusco Yacht Club, I love to call it. And we dug up the lawn and we planted potatoes. And we shared out potatoes. I mean, it was pretty shit, to be honest, but we got through it. So that's how you survive a pandemic. I'm probably running out of time. Very quickly, Daniel asked me to put some sort of trends together. So you can't do a slideshow without a picture of Machu Picchu, can you? This was the very first trip we ran in 2021 with 2 clients in Machu Picchu. There they are. It was amazing. I'm really disappointed to tell you that Machu Picchu is a cluster at the moment. It's an utter mess. You can't get permits till November. You get sent on a set circuit. If you try and step off that circuit, someone will blow his whistle and tell you to go on, and you get fired around and kicked out. It's a little bit sad, but it is what it is. And what we always say is Machu Picchu is only one day, or unless you're a masochist and like standing in queues, 2 days. Of your whole holiday in Peru. And what I'm really excited to report as an adventure person is that the trend is going towards getting remote and getting into cool places. We have never run as many whitewater rafting trips down the Apurimac In 2022, it was just unbelievable. We've never run so many wilderness trekking trips to the middle of nowhere. This is out the back of Ozungati. My e-bike fleet that sat in a shed for 2 years and didn't go anywhere is going out every day, just taking people off, exploring stuff, and that's just so exciting for me. I'm also really excited that new products, we're not allowed to call them products anymore, new experiences, like this is a place called Wakarapukara, are starting to come online now. This is really cool, and I'm just going to show you this. You've all heard of the Rainbow Mountain. Thanks to global warming and all the snow melting, there's loads of Rainbow Mountains. It's just there's one that the guy did that, and that was Instagram. This is me and my dog on another Rainbow Mountain. I'm not going to tell you where it is, so I can enjoy it for a while. So very quickly, sometime in about 2021, there's quite a few of us here from the UK. We signed up the thing for Torum declares a climate emergency. I've got to say it's gone a bit on the back burner because we're trying to dig ourselves out of a hole. But the other day we sat down and it's like, how do we reduce carbon by 30%? And it's not rocket science. We've got through COVID. I think we can do this. There's 15 of us back in the office. We used to be 18, so I did lie a bit on the thing. But none of us can remember what the other 3 used to do. So, so 15 is obviously the right number. So if I can end this talk on anything, I just want to say that I've been in Peru, in my adopted country, for 35 years. And since then, throughout that time, we've experienced so many things. I just mentioned a few crises, if you like them. The Shining Path years, some of you remember the terrorists that wiped out tourism. We had hyperinflation, and you try running a business, it's just nuts. The cholera pandemic, that was horrible. Corruption and corruption crisis, we still got those. Mad politicians, don't get me started on politics. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, 4 out of the past 5 presidents of Peru are either in jail, should be in jail, or shot themselves in the head to avoid going into jail. The current president of Peru, let's just tell you, the current president of Peru, 3 weeks before he became president of Peru, he was milking cows for a living. I'll leave that one up to you. So, I've gone the wrong way. So basically, that if I can, am I allowed to dedicate my talk to someone? It's not just the 92 families that we're involved in, and I'm extremely proud to say that despite Peru being the country which had the highest mortality rate for COVID in the world, not a single one of my extended family died of COVID. But thank you. I want to dedicate this to the Peruvian people who are so freaking awesome, that they are so amazingly resilient and so amazingly adaptable. And this gives me massive hope. If we think of COVID as a practice run for what's coming up next, we've got it nailed. We're going to do this. Yeah, thank you very much.